About a week ago, I spoke about the peculiar case of Jason Arday, and if you hadn't heard already, this young man was recently found unresponsive, presumably having taken his own life following the pressure that he received from primarily the conservative media in the UK. Mind you, this man resigned from the position he had earned, not because he was admitting he had done anything wrong, not because he had actually done anything wrong or hurt anyone else, rather because he just wanted people to stop vilifying him in the press and media. He wanted to go back to having his own private life. Keep in mind that Arday was not a public figure. He was not a celebrity. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a talking head. In fact, one of his most high-profile discussions was a talk on how racists tend to use accusations of plagiarism to destroy black academics. The conservative media continued hounding him, continued picking apart his life, pulling out any and every stop, every scrap they could to tell this man that his successes were not to the standard of truth that they had arbitrarily decided. I want to remind you that Jason Arday was never proven to be a plagiarist or a liar. It was a media circus. The headlines were created in order to sow doubt, but the evidence within was either shaky at best, circumstantial, or hearsay. But he was never offered a full investigation. It was all the investigation in the court of public opinion. I mean, some of the articles and comments I had to read through about this scenario were fucking rough. I had to put down quite a few articles because they were just baseless. And that's why I specifically said in my last video that this case is so hard to actually pin down. But this situation is another highlight to the paradox of being a minority in this pasty man's world, which is that the failures of minority people, the mistakes of minority people, are not only worse than the mistakes of the majority, but also that they need to outshine any of the successes of any minority. Because when we succeed, they cannot get us out of the news fast enough. And when we fail, it's an affront to mankind itself. By comparison, look at the treatment of white professors accused of plagiarism or poor academic rigor. Look at the headlines from the college admissions scandal. There was no referendum on whiteness, and certainly no political hounding. So why is it that in this society, death is an acceptable outcome for what at best was an unproven lack of academic rigor? My heart goes out to Jason Arday's family in their time of loss. He didn't deserve any of this, and nobody around him deserves any of this. Protect your family and friends, because a media circus is a death sentence to any person who not sufficiently supported in their lives. And remember, the real media circus is the friends you made along the way.